Okay, so I'm going to have to redo that entire thing as a separate video, I think. The idea is with each of our media files, we will pull off, we'll have an entire line of tab delimited text. You will pull off the field name and the value inside of it as a pair, set whatever attribute it is in my media file, and then move on from there. Pair by pair by pair, all the way down. I will have to do a separate video that I'm just going to record for you guys talking this out, because I think it's important for you to have seen something versus you just staring at code and getting upset. Okay. Yes, I know. I mean, I learned more on implementation, and since classes are a big topic, yep, they are definitely. To see what is corrected or not, I would save a lot of time. Although I understand now, my programmer friends told me the basic information on implementation is what I'm missing. Oh, okay. Yes, and thank you, Robin. I wish I had read your thing earlier. You would have saved me a whole lot of time. Yes, that's what I get for not checking the chat immediately. So thank you. I'm an ass. I'll record it properly for you guys. Okay. So hopefully this is making some sense. We have a media library, which has a collection of media. The collection of media is just, essentially it's actually an array, but it's just a set of all my media. And each type of media has a different thing. So I have TV media, I have movie media, I have book media, whatever the case is, and media.h is the parent class. So I'm going to make child classes of media, and then for week 2, you're going to make a grandchild class of media. You're going to take what you made in week 1, one of your child classes, and just extend that. So if you have TV shows, it might be multi-part episode TV shows, or I don't know what a good example would be, long-form TV shows, or think of something, right? It could be, if it's movies, it could be multi-disc movies or multi-part movies like the Lord of the Rings, those giant box sets things that you have. If it was music, it could be collaborative music for different artists, or mix music, so that you would have like a compilation album, right? It's not by one artist, it's by an assortment of artists. So maybe you need an array of all the artists rather than just a single artist. Things like that. You can do whatever you want with that one. It just has to be a child class. So have fun with it once you get going on this. Let's actually look, if we don't have other people saying I forgot to record. Okay. Let's have a look at our media file. So let's see if I can move. I got to move this out of the way again. And yes, I did actually plan to have a proper desktop set up for this, and I kept on like, no, don't have time. Oh, no, don't have time. And I just didn't set up my desktop yet. So I have it. It's ready. It does not have a webcam, which is part of the problem. I think I need to order a webcam just to make sure that all goes well. But I was hoping to stream on like a YouTube video instead. Okay. So here is the stupidest. I'm going to give you, this is brand new example, brand new thing. We are going to do the stupidest class imaginable. Well, pretty close to one of the stupidest classes imaginable. We are going to make a text field class, like you would have in a text field. Like if you're filling in a form online, right? If you type in a bunch of text in there, it's not going to be exactly that, because you're not going to see anything. But it's the idea that you have some kind of text that would go in a field. This is the text that would be in the field. And you'd say, why not just use a string? And I'd say, yeah, you could. That's perfectly fine. But I wanted an example of an object. I want classes. I want to show polymorphism. So I want something fairly simple to show people. Okay, so what are we going to do? I'm going to make a big ass array of, that's a technical term, of fields, a whole bunch of text fields. They're pointers to text fields, but good enough. It's going to work. Why? Because I don't want to make it right away. I want to make it after the fact. I want to go through and make all of these fields one by one. So I have a for loop, and I'm making a whole bunch of fields. So I will make 20, not that big, but 20 fields, field objects. That's it. That's all I'm doing here. Later on, I'm going to extend this. Then what we're going to do is we're going to output all those field objects. So we could say int I is equal to 0, I is less than, it's going to be the number of fields because I'm not changing that at all. And I'm going to need this again afterwards when I delete things. Set the text fields from the user. I'm going to do that later. Clean up. Okay. And delete and a fields I. All right. I have a dynamic array up here. Nope, that's a static array. I don't even need to do that. Technically, I want to make sure I go through all these things because I call new, I got to call delete. So the general rule is if I call new, I got to call delete. When I call new, I say, I want some memory from the system. I'll tell you when I need it, how much I need. Not predefined, not done at compile time, done on the fly, which means there's no way for the system to know how much you're going to give back and stuff. Once you ask for that memory, it's yours until you give it back. That's the problem with something like this thing here. So this is a static array. It's always an array of 20. I don't have to call delete on it. It's always an array of 20. The system automatically gives it back. If I call new, I gotta actually give it back. Okay, but I'm making a big bunch of text fields. Then I have my kids outside screaming. This is awesome. Okay, so fields, and I'm going to have I, and then I'm going to call a function from this. I'm going to say get text. I'm going to get the text from it, and then I'm going to see out field. Okay, so I want to say it's field this, and then the text for the field, and I'm going to put it on a new line afterwards. New line. This I'm going to need to use. I think I need to do std. Hopefully that's going to do it. No. Oh, because I know why. Let's find out what my error is. Add IO stream. Done. IO stream is up here. Okay. I'm going to pull off. I'm going to output the text from each of these text fields. So I'm going to make all these text fields. They're all going to be called field 1, field 2, field 3, field 4, blah, blah, blah. And then afterwards, I'm just going to print all those things out. And when I'm done with it, I got to clean up because I called new. I got to call delete. And that's when my destructor gets called. Whenever this thing gets given back to the system, it's my cleanup. It is the garbage collector, if you will. It's not actually called a garbage collector because that means something different, but it is the cleanup crew. When I'm done with an object, the destructor gets called. And that destructor is just setting things back to safe values. If I called new a bunch of times, I got to call delete a bunch of times. Anything I did that needs to be cleaned up to be safe, that's what my destructor does. So when I'm destroying things, I use the destructor. When I'm creating things, I use the constructor. Okay. Save it. Here is my stupid class. Okay. It has a blank constructor. It takes in nothing. Okay. It's going to have some default value. I have another constructor that takes in a parameter. This is polymorphism, right? I have two constructors. Which one is being called? The one that matches the parameters. So if I call new on a text field and don't put in any text, it should do one thing. And if I call new on a text field with some text, it should do the other one. It knows which one based off of the parameters. Notice the destructor never has parameters because it's always just clean crap up. Okay. Next, here's set text. It's just going to be some simple little function to set my text value, right? If it was, if I don't have text in it, we're going to see why that's important in a second. But the idea is maybe I want to be able to to update my text. We're going to make a child class called a number text field. And that's going to be different because I can't just set any old text in my text field. It has to only be a number, a text that represents a number, like a phone number, but only a number. So if there's a letter of the alphabet, I'm not allowing it. I'm allowing curly braces, I'm allowing dashes, I'm allowing spaces, but I'm not allowing A, B, C, or anything like that. And then I want to be able to get my text out again. Okay, let's do this. So notice what I have here. I have the name of my class right here. I have everything that's going to be in my class between here and here. I have all my public functions, things that everybody has access to, public. So anyone can call new text field. Anyone can call set text. Anyone can call get text from anywhere. It's public. Private means no, that's mine. You don't get to know about it. You don't get to use it. You don't get to play with it. It's mine. So your student ID, you shouldn't be allowing other people to change your student ID, for example. You might have some function that says get student ID and you can return it, but people shouldn't be allowed to go to the variable that is your student ID and just stomp on your student ID. That's not right, correct? So public means other people have access to it. Private means it's mine. Protected, the third one of those, protected means I have access to it. Friend classes have access to it, which we didn't talk that much about, but friend classes have access to it, and child classes have access to it. Okay, so let's see friend TextField.cpp. I did the absolute bare minimum to get this thing to compile. That's all I did. There was nothing special. I did nothing in here whatsoever. So here is what I have. Every single one of these fields that I had in here, every single one of these functions that I had in here, I got to define them somewhere. So I go in here and I rewrite the name for each one of those functions. And in front of it, I just put, by the way, it's in this class. It's in the text field class, text field : text field. I'm defining the text. I'm defining this particular function that's in the text field class. So it goes into here and goes, oh, you mean this one right here. Okay, so I'm going to, what did I call that field? Actual text. I'm going to say actual text is equal to, let's make it that way. Hopefully that's going to work. I'm going to find out if it works or not. This should, I want to look at this. What it should do is it won't be, these are not pointers, they're actual objects being passed around. What I should be doing, this should actually make it should change the values in this thing. It'll actually make a brand new variable called actual text and copy the values over to it and then point to the same thing. But okay, but I may not want that. So hear me out for a second. Oh, that's what the problem was. Boom, boom. There you go. That should do it. Okay. No questions so far. So what's going to happen? So if I know, by the way, if you're not sure if something is working out, hey, do I see anything green and underlined here? I was wondering why I had a green underline here. This means if there's no green underline, it means there's no warnings, meaning I defined everything. They may not be right, but it's not warning me that I didn't define something. So I'm going to have to go through each one of these things and delete stuff. Do nothing. I don't call new. I'm not calling new in either of my constructors. There's no actual need for a destructor, but just for me, hear me out. I'm going to see out, this is my destructor call. Okay. And I need to include this IOStream. Okay. Let's put in the constructor Do you want to put in a constructor call? We don't need it right now. But you could put little cout statements up here to say, hey, by the way, when I get a constructor call, this is when it goes off. I just want to know when this thing gets destroyed. It's kind of useful, just for my own personal peace of mind. Okay, I want set text. Set text is just going to, instead of this, I am going to, what do I want to do? Actual text is equal to new text. And why might I want to do this? Well, this is actually going to do nothing at all. All it's going to do is set the text. You're wondering, like, why the hell am I doing this? We're going to see in a second. Okay. Would you go over the string function versus the constructor above? Quickly go over. What do you mean by the string function versus the constructor? Elijah, sorry about that. So this is, I pass in a string. I am going to make this string exactly equal to this string. Copy the values from one to the other. Strings are what's called immutable. They don't get changed. They can't be changed directly. So I have a string. I'm going to just copy all the contents from this old string over here over to here. This one says copy all of the quote text and copy that over to my string over there. The actual text string is created initially, made initially right away, and I just set it to some value for that string. All right. Yep, initializing it. Got it. That's it. So I'm just setting things up. That's all I'm doing. And my destructor doesn't even need to be there at all. I'm not calling new. I technically do not need a destructor in this example. I have it in there because I like showing destructors. But if I ever called new in one of these, oh, hell no. I need a destructor. If I call new in a constructor, I need to call delete in a destructor. I need to clean stuff up, right? I took something out of the library. I got to bring back the book. Okay, here's me setting the text, and I'm going to get the text. And instead of this, I don't want that. I want to return actual text. Okay, as I said, this is the single stupidest field ever, or class ever. So let's compile it. Let's see if I have any errors. If I do, well, we'll fix them. So far, no errors. That's surprising, but okay. I'm going to run it and see what happens. Okay, I got all my destructor calls. Remember, it gets destroyed. I had that for loop deleting each one of those, and every single time I called delete to that field, boom, I got that destructor called. Field string too long. Oh, nice. What is that? Too long, too long, too long. This is something interesting. Field, yield, eld, ild, duh. I'm doing something really weird in here. That's awesome. Let's have a look at it. I like it when things go wrong. All right, so the field coming into this thing is the value field. I have a feeling that I'm only getting a part of that string, which means it's going to get a little, I want to see what the heck's going on here. The string too long is something that's really not supposed to, it's too long to even print off, is what it's complaining about. Okay, that's something, or maybe I'm blasting into other text. I have no idea. So let's have a quick look at this thing. Okay, so let's also, while I do this, you're going to say, why on earth would you do this? Set text. The reason I'm going to do that here is because I want my starting text, my set text could do all my error checking all at once in one place. And I don't have to, over here I error check, over here I error check. If I do error checking correctly, I do it in one place and one place only. All right, but that's something weird. So let's have a look at what the heck this field tester is going to do. So this is getting each of the fields. I'm getting the text for each of those fields. This is getting field I. This is wild. Okay. plus I. I want to have a look at this because this is really interesting. So I have a new text field. It's field something or other. I plop it into this thing here. Every time through the loop, it'll copy the contents over. I then say fields this. I have a quote of my quote. I put in this particular field, and I have an end line here. Let's also, and let's have a look at what my output here is. So the numbers are all right. That field text string thing is going wrong. That's wild. Okay, I want to see if at the end of let's do that. So how do I debug this thing? I want to do this. Cout constructor has actual text as and actual text. I want to see what's going on with this thing. Hopefully it's not just going to barf on me. It might be barfing on me. That'll be interesting if it's just barfing on me. All right, let's close off the first one because that's something weird. Okay, so let's plop a breakpoint in here. Let's see what's going wrong with this thing. Okay, my start text is field without a number. Why would that be without a number? Okay, start text is equal to this. My actual text is equal to blank. I'm going to go one step down. It's equal to that particular value. I'm wondering if it's actually sharing the string, if it's actually sharing a pointer to a string and I just don't know it. So we're going to find out. What the heck is going on here? Let's have a look. I am at value 0. Next field text is, that shouldn't be right. Do you see what I see here? So I have field and then I'm plussing some value I. Oh, geez. Does anyone see what happened? That is wild. I didn't know that strings did that. I thought it did a proper concatenation. Anyone see what happened there? It is going to go field, and I move my position over by 1, my position over by 2, my position over by 3, my position over by 4, because this is not concatenating like it should, like I thought it did. This thing here is moving my pointer over by a certain position. That is crazy pants. Okay, let's stop this. That's nothing to do with our objects. Okay, and I'm going to do this. Okay, and next field text dot concat append. I'm going to append the number I on there. Hopefully that's not going to barf on me. Okay, will not let me do that. I could do. So I need to, yeah, that's cout statements, what I'm thinking about right now. Okay, so I need to somehow convert this to a number. So what's the best way of doing that? If anyone remembers their string class, planned, because you just did this with the assignment. So do people actually have an answer? Let's see. I can look it up or I can find it out in about 2 seconds, but some of you may often know it off your head. String 2, thank you. Something like that. Yeah, I like it. I think you're right. Nice. I am so excited to see that. String.2 and is that Is string 2 going to work for us though? I don't think that's the thing. That would convert it to integer, right? It takes a string and converts it. Integers for Java. Oh, darn it. What would be the best thing? I could do an sprintf technically, but I don't think we want to do that. That allows you to actually put things into a string. Let's do this. Append. Okay, that'll append. I can append. Does anyone actually have it off? std, s2i, well, I2s. Because s2i will convert a string to an integer, not the other way around. I gotta look it up every time. 2 underscore. Oh, it might be. Yes, I think you might be right. That's a crazy thing too. There you go. That's why I had to look it up for you guys beforehand. Thank you. That's it. That's why I actually gave you that in the last assignment, because I had to look it up once. I'm like, nope, not asking them to do that for me. Okay, it'll convert an integer to a string. It'll append it on. Okay, there we go. We found our bug. Great. This is why we test early before I write all the rest of my code. Okay, so I found my start text, field 0. Hey, we're doing good. I should be able to just turn that off, and if I can just start up again, I'd be ready to go. Or maybe it's going to crash on me. Pause it. Where is it pausing? So my set text should do that. I'm going to comment out the cout statement just in case. And let's see what we have for the chat. Okay. It is it a cast? It's not a normal casting though. It actually has to, it's actually a function call because it has to do a whole lot of heavy lifting in order to do that. A normal cast would be like, no, it's not an integer, it's a character, and it just interprets the binary a different way. But in your defense, you were absolutely right, and in your defense, you should be proud, because I'm wondering what the heck's going on here. Was it you guys that when I had this problem last time around? It was just like, oh, sometimes CN didn't work. It was just stupid. So this was working before, so let's see if it's working now. You've got to be kidding me. Let's break it out and let's jump to my other function, field tester. Let's jump over here. Let's drop that breakpoint in here. We'll make sure I compile again just in case. I'm calling new on all these new fields. Okay, I want to get out of that thing because I know it's going to be called a bunch of times. Great. So I know it's not the first set of functions. I have a problem with this thing right here. Okay, it's going to the end level. So let's have a look. Let's go into this. And let's dive into this function. I can return actual text, which is field 0. And that's where it's dying on me. What in the world is going on? Okay. So my function's working. Let's do this. String is equal to a fields and position I get text. I may have something sort of ridiculous in here. I have a cout statement. that should work. Let's find out what happens. This. My cout statement should be fine. All right, let's walk down. Let's get my string, field 0. Let's output my string. It somehow yells at me. Oh, what is going on? 5. Let's do that. Okay. It seems to be waiting for user in. Oh my God. All right. And now it's back up and running again. This is the same bug we had last time. It's insane bug. All right, let's have a look. This is my destructor call. Okay. Field 13, field 10, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 19. Okay. So the output is working as expected. My destructor calls are working as expected. This is not working as expected. Something weird happens with having to push in a number, and I don't know what's going on with cout, but it's exclusively for cout for some reason. Unless it's the using namespace standard, but we can always look at that. Okay. So here's what I want to do next. So we have my code, it's working. Okay. It's dumb code. Let's make a brand new class. Let's make a class that is going to be a numerical text field that I can only type in numbers and spaces and tildes and stuff, but I can't, or maybe I can only type in numbers and spaces and parentheses, for example, whatever the case is. So let's go into this. I'm going to make a brand new class here. Add class, and I'm going to use the base class. This is TextField, and the new class is numeric TextField. And okay. Notice it did this for me automatically. It's saying it is extending the TextField class in a public way. So anything that was public before is public now. Anything private before is private now. Well, actually, anything that was private before I can't see. But let's have a look at this. So what do I need in here? Well, what I want to do is I want to go to my text field. I want to see all the different fields I have in here. And what I can set the text. Okay. Let me see what the best way of doing this. I might want to have this as protected now. Protected meaning only me and my children have access to it. So, and I tend to do this because I'm lazy. Okay, so very lazy. I'm going to have, it's a numeric text field, numeric text field, numeric text field, setting my text, getting my text, both of them are the same. And I shouldn't have to necessarily re-implement set text or get text. In fact, I'm not going to re-implement get text. Get text should be exactly the same as it was before. There is no difference for what I had before. Only set text is going to be brand new. I'm also not going to, I don't actually need I'm going to put the destructor in there anyways. Okay, and I'm also going to find where numeric text field.h is. Okay, .cpp is, but my screen here is covering it up. Okay. Numeric text field.cpp. So everywhere where I said I'm going to call this particular constructor, I can. In fact, I don't think I even do I need that one. I'm going to find out if I need that. Okay. Made two constructors and a destructor. I don't need the get text because it's not going to change from the previous version. It's just returning the string. This one will. This one, I'm going to say, you can't do squat. All you can do is put numbers in there, let's say. So what I need to be able to do is, let's see if this is a method. new text dot and is alpha. Is there anything for is number? No, worth a shot. Okay, so what could I do here? I might want okay, maybe I want to go through each one of the characters, check to see, and maybe I'll make a, let's do that. Let's make a private method. Um, I'll make that called something else. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take, this thing is just going to take in a bunch of chars, a char to test. And all I'm going to do is it a valid character? You'll see this in action in 2 seconds. I'm going to make this a set text, and let's make it a, this is going to be private. I'm going to put that in there. Okay, nobody needs to know about is valid char. This could be my own little, my little secret here. Nobody needs to know that I have this function that just checks if a char is considered a valid char of some format, that I'm allowed to use it. That's it. That's all it does. You pass in a char, it says, yep, that's a perfectly fine char. So test is, I should actually have str. I'm going to forget what that is. I'm going to do it the hard way. So there is a is alphanumeric, but I'm not even going to do that. If toTest is greater than or equal to a, and toTest is less than or equal to z. There we go. Sorry, that was accidentally hit page down. Or same thing, but with capitals. So as long as it's not a, this is me just doing it quickly versus looking up the proper function here. Okay, and get rid of this. So that's the end of this thing here. This thing should be, that should match up this one here. Why is it not matching? Oh, there it is. Okay. If either of those is true, otherwise return true. I could have also said if not that from a logical standpoint. Okay, I had a question here, so I'm going to look at the chat, but other than that, I'm going to plug on ahead. Okay, and something like that. Haha. Okay, are we using cin or getLine? Not for this particular case, but oh, I was planning to if we didn't run out of time, but we are going to run out of time. Can use getters to access protected. Yeah, if the getter method is public, all bets are off. But most of the time, if you're getting it, you're getting a copy of it. It is you copying your student number and passing it off to somebody. They don't get direct access to your student number. Is alpha. Thank you. You could pass by reference in this particular case. What I'm going to do is just check to see if each of the characters are, you could have done this 1,001 ways, and these are great ideas. My plan was check each of the characters one by one. If any of them are invalid, bail out. Don't change the text. If they are valid, then as long as all of them are valid, then you're allowing the text in, and you would set the text afterwards. So that's the plan of attack right now. What happens if it reaches white space? Still perfectly fine. I'm allowing white space, at least in this case. I'm only preventing alphabetical characters. Why? Because that's something, this is a toy example. I could have tried something more elaborate, but I don't want to make it any crazier. So I'm just not allowing letters of the alphabet. So if you put in a phone number, you might want parentheses, you might want a dash, you might want this, you might want that. So, so I don't want, for this child class, it's only like a numeric field, like a phone number. Okay. So this is the numeric text field. So it could include white spaces and tabs and all this other kind of stuff. Okay, so what I want to do is I'm going to say if new text dot is it char at oh, and this is a position I, and then I'm going to call this function is valid char. This, by the way, would have been a perfectly, is valid char would have been a perfectly fine static function. I don't need it to be part of an individual object. It's only doing helper stuff for me. So it would have been fine. If, so if it is a valid char, if it is not, let's say if it's not a valid char, return false, which is why we had the Boolean there. Otherwise, I'm going to say, what is the name of my variable again? Oh, let's do it this way. This, told you I have a horrible memory. Actual text. There you go. That's the name of it. I never remember my variable names. This allows me to just not remember stuff, which is a blessing in disguise. All right, missing the curly parentheses. This should only allow me to set text. How are we doing for time? Okay, we're not great, but not as bad as I was expecting. Okay, this should not, the only thing this should do is prevent me from making a new, you passing in text that it's not allowed. Okay. Let me see what the best ways of teaching these things are. Okay, so my thing right here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to make an array of new fields. I'm going to have all these different field things, and I'm going to say if I on 2, 2. Let's just make it equal to 1. Okay. So if it's an odd or an even number is what I'm essentially doing. Else, and I'm going to do something very similar. But instead I'm going to, actually, let's just copy this as well. I'm going to do something slightly weird though. I'm just going to, instead of this, I'm going to put, let me see here. Let's just put a number here. So I'm going to put 719. Let's do this. 7260769. In case you're wondering if I'm giving you my phone number, no, that's the phone number I grew up with. I'm assuming it is no longer in service. So it's like 8575319. It's, you know, you guys might be phoning it to see if you can prank somebody, but it's not going to go to me, in case you're wondering. So this is going to be my next string text, and instead of this append thing, I'm just going to just put this new string text in there. Okay, so I'm going to put this number in there. It should be a valid number each time. Let's also, and so if it's an odd number, it'll go in here. Odd number elements, even number elements. Okay. Otherwise, I'm going to put in a number. And since it's an even number of elements, I'm going to check something out here. I'm going to call a caps lock seems to be on fields at, what the hell? Okay, something. Ah, there we go. My shift key was stuck. Okay, not the caps lock. Okay, so here I'm going to go to position. This is even number, so let's go to position 0, and I'm going to set that value manually to set text, and I'm going to say David 719 726. Okay, I'm just going to leave that at that. What I would expect is, since there are letters in here, or maybe I'll put the David at the end just so we really test this thing. Fine. This thing should not take the text. And then I will see out the 0 field. Yeah, field was or is. All right. And I'm going to put some dashes in here to find this thing. All right. Things are going to go weird, by the way, just letting you know. So what would I expect in here? I would expect that every second time I make one of these fields, I'm going to make, I need to make a new NumTextField. That's the first step. I need to also I need to include that. And I'm going to just be anal retentive here and plop this on top. Just me being anal. All right, what do I have wrong here? Inaccessible, I think it might be a drive issue right now. So let me compile it again. No, cannot access, okay. Oh, let me look at my text field. NumTextField to the rescue. And what happens? It is, so what's wrong with this? There's something clearly wrong with this, and hopefully maybe you guys already found it in the chat. Let me see if you found it in the chat. But there's something clearly wrong with this. Password. What happens if you reach white space? Oh, I see. I didn't want. I never use auto. Auto is considered a bad thing, at least by most programmers, C++ programmers. They're very much used to controlling everything, and auto says, yeah, I'll figure it out on my own, which seems like a very nice thing, but people don't tend to trust it. The C++ programmers are also the people that use inline coding. They do inline coding, which is you moving the function actually into the code. And also people do like, they do go-to statements and inline assembly in their code. Like they like having their own control. So it's a general rule. Most people do not like using auto, and I'm not even teaching auto. If you want, you might be able to get away with it, but auto is, it's automatically interpreting what that kind of number is and changing things for you. So I have never actually used auto myself. I've been told, don't use it. And I went, okay. So hopefully that clarifies that. What's wrong with this? It's saying that I do not have something called NumTextField. I clearly do. Why can't it find NumTextField? What the hell? This is one of my most common bugs that I make. I mean, don't all speak up at once. I know most of you are not going to speak up. The problem is the default is protected, meaning nobody has access to that thing. Must be a constructor, a member function of the same name. NumTextField, NumTextField. Okay. Yep, that should work. All right. Because I didn't say it was that part was public, it doesn't know that function exists. It doesn't know my constructors exist. It doesn't know that setText exists, except for it knows the other one. It knows that parent class's version of setText exists, but it doesn't know this version exists. It sure as heck doesn't know is valid char exists. Let's have a look at, let's try that for a second. Just in case you don't believe me, here is field tester. Let's take one of these things here. Great. And A, fields. We know that this is that particular kind of data. Well, actually, I don't know if I'm allowed, I can do that without, it thinks it's a text field right now. So we'll have to leave it off. I can't call a private function whatsoever, whether I want to or not. Oh, there you go. Let's do this. A fields at position 0. Let's try and get the element that I'm looking for. It's actual, oh, wait. I don't even see it here. It's not even on my pop-up of my list of options. It's private. That member variable is completely hidden to every other class on purpose. You shouldn't have access to other people's stuff. Okay, let's try to compile it one more time and see if, oh, there it goes. It worked. So what would we expect? Every second one of these is going to be a numeric text field. It's going to have this number in it. Fine. What we'd expect, and let's put that in there right now. Let's say the set, we should be calling this set text method. So we'll put a breakpoint in this set text method. Okay, let's run this. What? I told you there's a error on purpose here. What? Why is that? Why am I not calling this set text field? I clearly have made a bunch of numeric text fields. It says right here, I made numeric text fields. I'm calling set text field explicitly on this one. And yet I go over here and this function is not being called. Why the hell not? Oh, let's do another thing. Let's go to my field tester. Let's also cast this thing to numeric text field. This is just going to be a cast. So I am saying, no, it's not a numeric field. It's not a text field, sorry. It's a numeric text field explicitly, just to make sure that everyone, it's not just any old text field. It's a numeric text field. Okay, so what's going to happen here? Let's run it again. Hopefully that succeeded. All right. And now it goes into it. What? What? Okay, so what is happening here? I am going into this particular call to set text. Not up there, but in here, I'm going to that particular call to set text. Once I said, no, it's not just some text field, it's a numeric text field. And then it's going to this one right here, the correct one, the one I wanted. And the reason it's doing, and so we can even walk down this function. Hopefully it's not going to blow up or anything. I get my string length. I'm going to go check each one of my characters to see if any of them are valid. At some point in time, I should get a false in here. Oh, I didn't return anything. I need to return a value in here before what character am I on? 15. Oh, there you go. It bails out. Okay. I just want to do one thing here. Turn true. Okay. The reason it's not doing this, and what's going to be coming up in the assignment, is that I need to make sure that it is, well, how do I know which function to call? This array I have here just thinks it's on, I claimed that it is just an array of text fields. So at the time it just says it's a pointer to a text field. Which function do I call? I call the text fields array. What I need is a virtual method, a virtual function. If I don't make it virtual, I will just call, this is when we talked about polymorphism. We're going to use a virtual table. And here is the sum total of what I need to do. Text field and virtual. Done. That's it. And let's also get rid of this field tester. I'm going to get rid of that cast that I had in there, just in case you don't believe me, because I know you guys are all very cynical and you don't believe anything I say. So I'm just, you're jaded and bitter at the world. So all I did was put the word virtual in there, meaning when you look at this function, go to the lookup table and figure it out on the fly. Figure out which version of it is. Now, what I like to do is this, so that even when I'm in the child class, I still know it's virtual. But it wouldn't matter. I can leave that virtual off and it would still do its job. It's when it gets to set text, it says, oh, it's a virtual function. Go to the lookup table, the virtual table, and figure out which function to call. Okay. Late binding. It is runtime, but it's figuring it out at the last possible second which one to go to. So it's binding to the function at when you're actually running the code. Early binding is presumably compile time binding. When you compile it, it says, oh, it's going over there. So the other way around. But let's give this a run and let's see what happens. Hey, and I'm calling the right function. In fact, I'm only calling it there. I'm surprised I'm only calling it there. That's really surprising. I'll have to look into that for a second. Okay, so I'm setting the text there, and what's going to happen is it's not going to do anything. And the field 0, if I look at my output, window can be moved. Field 0, the 0 field is, and it's blank. It's actually setting it to blank right now. Why is it setting it to blank? Let's have a look at my other things. Field 0, field 1, field 2. Oh, they're all blank right now. I got to look into this. So let's have a look. So I want to put a breakpoint here and figure out why this thing is barfing on me. So let's compile it. I have something wrong here. So let's go into it. So I have a string. It is this 709. 709. So not 719. That's not the area code for Newfoundland. Okay. Oh. Well, it would help if I actually filled in the other functions. That would, I know that seems a bit asking for a lot, but it would probably help to fill in the other functions. So let's fill in the other functions. Text field. This means when I call my constructor, it should work actually. If it doesn't, I'm in trouble. Start text, right? That should do it, but why is it giving me an error? Okay, and this one's going to be cout the NumTextField destructor is called. Is that going to do it for us, or maybe I need to include the standard IO? There we go. Okay, so what the heck is this actually doing? And let's say set text. I'm going to call my start text. And let's do a blank one as well. And I'm going to give it some default value. So what is this going to do? It says when I make a new one, I have to call the parents constructor first, and I will call this version of the parents constructor. For when I call this function down, this constructor here, I will call this version of the parents constructor. Then after I'm done with that parents constructor, because I have to do that very first, then I will do whatever is afterwards. So call this, or call this, depending which function I get. And by doing that, it means that it's going to hopefully work out better for me. Let's see what the question was. Because I need to stop soon. I want to make sure we get to a reasonable state here. To avoid needing to remember NumTextField : : I could use the namespace, and I just got into a bad habit, I guess. I just like using the NumTextField : : just keep using it. +2 overloads. Here'd be an overload. NumTextField. I have 2 overloads for that constructor. One that takes nothing, one that takes a string. The same function name, 2 different implementations. In fact, if they said +2 other overloads, it means they have 3 implementations. Every single time I have a function, it's called overloading. You have operator overloading, you have function overloading. It is a form of polymorphism where you have that same function declared multiple times with different parameters, and depending on what the parameters are, you will call a different version of the function. It's a convenience thing. So by saying +2 overloads, it says, by the way, there's other options for you to call this thing with different input. So you can call this with a string, you can call it with a C string, a character array, you can call this with a number, you can call this with this. Right? It's really very convenient in terms of like, I don't want to have to make a new name for the function. I just want, set text to be able to take a character string or to take a string, doesn't matter. So I could have another overloaded method here where it takes in a character string instead of a string object, and it sets up the text as well. All right, great question. All right, let's see how this works. I should hit this breakpoint almost right away. Okay. Okay, I've already called set text. I am now in this version. I am now going to, it's going to go into that function. It's going to go to the parent version of it. It's going to go down into set text. It's going to then set my text. Okay, I'm going to bail out of this, but I will actually get, I think, 10 different versions called set texts, calling set text, calling set text, calling set text. Right? I'm going to have set text called a bunch of times. And I'm going to, oh, there you go. Stupid thing. Okay, here you go. Here's my field. Here's my field. Here's my field. Here's my field. And the 0 field has not changed at all because I tried to put in alphanumeric text. That's why we do inheritance, because although we started off with something really, really simple, by making a child class, we can say, no, 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 you're not allowed to pass me any alphabetical characters in this text field. And it can handle that. I could have something that only allows alphabetical characters, right? I could have it so that it has a maximum length of 10. And if you give it a string larger than size 10, maybe that's what I should have done, larger than size 10, it's too long for the field, you're not allowed to put it in. So when you're typing in a field on a web form, it's doing error checking on you. This could be doing that kind of error check. It's not exactly the same, but it's close enough, right? That's the same concept here. The object knows how to check its own self for errors. So when you pass it bad data, it goes, no, go away. No, I'm not going to deal with your crap. And it can error check and just say, no, I'm not taking your input. I'm not taking that set value. It's not the kind I like. The other one will take it, but the child class is saying, no, I'm only accepting certain things. The child class can give you other stuff. The child class could print things out in a different way. The child class could do a whole lot of stuff that the parent doesn't. The idea is I want to use as much as the parent as I can, and as soon as I don't need that stuff, I overload the method. I override the method, I should say, right? So instead of just using the parent's set text, I made my own. And if I want to make sure I am using my own, I put virtual in front of it. So whether I'm using a text field or a numeric text field, doesn't matter. I figure it out on the fly. That's the point of polymorphism. That's the point of these virtual tables. That's the point of inheritance, because I don't want it to reinvent the wheel. If I have a function, or if I have a class that does its job correctly, I want to just have it do its job correctly and just add a little bit more, right? That if it takes in a text field, but if it's longer than this, I don't let it take in a text field. That would be a great exercise to take. So this code is available for you guys. Make a child class of the text field that only takes a string of length 5. And if it's more than a string of length 5, don't take it. Make sure that that works. That would be a great practice exercise for you guys. Okay. I'm always going over time. I apologize if people are, having to do something else. But I also know that it might save you time in the long run. That's the only reason I do make these so long. Sorry. So can I answer any other questions? Otherwise, I'm going to let you go. This code is available to you online. We briefly went over the assignment, but I'm going to do a hopefully quick video on the assignment just to make sure that you see what that should look like. Okay. The purpose of virtual makes a virtual table, which is a lookup table for where things go. So we have the video on polymorphism covers that. The point of a virtual table. So if you haven't watched that video yet, it's probably, I think, this week. So in case you don't know what I'm talking about, you'll see it soon. The point of a virtual table is when I call a function, if it says it's virtual, it knows to look in the virtual table for where the heck that function is located. It will jump over to a virtual table associated with that object. The object points to has a permanent pointer to this virtual table. So it jumps over to the virtual table, says, hey, where is this function defined? Oh, it's defined in the parent, and it jumps back to wherever it's supposed to go. It allows me to, after the fact, figure out where things are hooked up. I should have everything up to Microsoft Foundation classes and model view controllers posted. And if I don't think I'm presuming that I do have them up there because I thought I posted them. So if you don't see them, let me know, because I'm working under the assumption that those videos have been posted for a little while now. Oh yeah, but that was 2 weeks ago that were new material. So polymorphism should be up there. Inheritance should be up there for sure. And if they're not, let me know so I can fix it. Is that all right with everyone? All right, we're down to 2 people, so that's pretty. Thanks, everyone. Take care. Bye. Let's stop sharing.